In 2025, I watched a total of 88 feature films. Compared with my viewing habits over the past few years, I have to admit that 88 is not a particularly impressive number. Out of these, only 10 were watched in cinemas. Clearly, many of the new releases last year simply did not warrant the effort of a cinema visit. From these 88 films, I selected 10 for the top 10 list, and interestingly, 3 of them were actually released in 2023. So, without further ado, here are my top 10 favorite films of 2025. Number 10, Good News. This is a South Korean film distributed by Netflix. Undoubtedly within Asia, the Korean film industry has been at the forefront for nearly 2 decades, consistently representing a remarkably high level of production. Good News is a fine example of this strength. It boasts impressive special effects, a surprisingly seamless collaboration between Korean and Japanese actors, an intriguing musical score, and a very smooth tonal shift from comedy to thriller. Number 9, Songs of the Neo Night. This is the only film on this list that I watched in the cinema. For years, a question has haunted many cinephiles. Is Hong Kong cinema already dead? I believe this film offers a rather satisfying answer, perhaps even to people holding completely opposing views. It can be read as an elegy for the old-school Hong Kong police action film, yet at the same time, it also feels like a declaration of a new hybrid cinematic era. Despite its clunky narrative structure and occasionally abrupt shifts between points of view, I was still deeply impressed by its striking semi-black and white visual style, the exquisitely composed original score, the swan song of the late maestro Sakamoto Ryuichi, and several refreshingly bold performances, especially the villain portrayed by pop singer Alex Toll. It is also worth mentioning that the film wrapped shooting nearly 10 years ago and then went through an unusually long post-production process. In that sense, it functions as a perfect time capsule of a bygone period. Number 8, Eddington. As one of the most inventive filmmakers of the younger generation, Ari Aster has delivered one original work after another over the past decades, arguably elevating the artistic and the thematic depths of horror cinema to an unprecedented level. After his astonishing feature debut, Hereditary, in 2018, many horror filmmakers began to follow suit, incorporating social commentary and metaphor into their works. However, Aster himself refused to stay within the same comfort zone. Instead, he gradually reduced the supernatural elements in his films and ventured into territories such as psychology, sociology, and folklore. In Eddington, he captures the zeitgeist of the American COVID era with remarkable precision, presenting a twist-filled narrative populated by distinctly American archetypes and culminating in an unaccepted cat and mouse climax. It is deeply thought-provoking and thoroughly unforgettable, and I am eagerly anticipating his next project. Number 7, Sorry Baby. Yes, this is yet another A24 production. Beneath its non-linear narrative, peculiar sense of black humor, and almost documentary-like performances lies a profound tenderness that is bound to leave a lasting impression on audiences. With a strikingly long take, the versatile Ava Victor, who also serves as a film lead actress and writer, demonstrates extraordinary potential as a first-time director. Her approach to portraying trauma feels original, restrained, and refreshingly humane. Anyone capable of crafting such a delicate piece of art must be very, very, well, in the Japanese word, Yasashi. Number 6. If I Had the Legs, I'd Kick You. Once again, an A24 film and another directorial debut. The director maintains a nuanced balance between surreal imagery and a grounded, realistic core, offering an unconventional perspective on motherhood. The film generates an overwhelming sense of anxiety that strongly reminded me of my first experience watching Hereditary many years ago, which was super unsettling. In addition to the magnificently powerful performance by Rose Byrne, the former TV host Conan O'Brien delivers a brief yet highly memorable cameo. Number 5, A Fire, released in 2023. A Fire is, at its core, a compelling character study centered on an obnoxious protagonist who becomes infatuated with a beautiful and charismatic woman, one who plays a pivotal role in the delicate dynamic among four young people. At the same time, a looming natural threat quietly lurks beneath the surface of the main plot, eventually leading to a tragic conclusion. As a celebrated representative of the Berlin School, director Christy M. Petzold creates an intriguing atmosphere through elegant compositions, a measured pacing, and a poetic inner monologue toward the end. Number 4, Riddle of Fire. There is no denying that this film is another 2023 hidden gem that I happened to discover last year. Some critics have compared it to Wes Anderson's Moonrise Kingdom, citing apparent similarities. Well, I'm afraid I disagree. Yes, both films are coming-of-age adventures shot on 16mm film, which partly explains their visual resemblance. However, whereas Moonrise Kingdom feels like a fantasy bubble, Riddle of Fire confronts the stark inequalities between social classes. It is charming, whimsical, and deeply nostalgic. Even now, nearly a year after watching it, I still cannot help but smile whenever I think about it. Alright, the top 3. Number 3, Weapons. I had been eagerly awaiting Zach Cregger's follow-up ever since Barbarian completely blew my mind in October 2022. When Weapons was finally released, I watched it almost immediately, and once again I was awed. The film unfolds across 6 intricately structured chapters, each focusing on a different character. Metaphorically, it lends itself to multiple interpretations, touching upon themes such as the ripple effects of school shooting, substance abuse, dysfunctional families, the failure of public education, and even foreign evasions. That said, according to Cregger himself, the film is deliberately open-ended. For him, offering definitive answers is not a filmmaker's obligation. Number 2, Sinners. I've always believed that among the so-called Marvel theme park films, Black Panther stands out as the closest things to pure cinema, perhaps alongside Guardians of the Galaxy. I was deeply impressed by Ryan Coogler's bold reworking of Shakespeare's Hamlet and by his portrayal of a complex yet tragic antagonist, which later became his signature. In Sinners, Coogler once again delivers an irresistibly charismatic villain, one whose apparent evil conceals an even greater, more exploitative force. Like Cregger, Coogler excels at blending comedy and horror with a great precision. My favorite example is the doorstep invitation sequence, which begins as hilarious awkward between turning genuinely terrifying. From a financial perspective, both Weapons and Sinners were successful, each grossing over $25 million, an increasingly rare achievement for original films in today's market. So let's finger crossed and hope these 2 distinguished young filmmakers continue to create bold and fantastic works in the near future. Well, finally, top 1, the best of the best, my favorite film I watched last year. Actually, this film was released in 2023, and its name is Red Rooms. Just imagine that Denis Villeneuve and David Cronenberg, both among my favorite directors, had a bilingual daughter. She would be Red Rooms. I cannot fully articulate why I love this film enough to place it at number 1. This Quebec's production possesses a singular atmosphere that kept me utterly absorbed for nearly 2 hours, offering the most immersive viewing experience I had all year. It centers on an enigmatic female protagonist living an almost hermit-like existence in Montreal, isolating herself from a social life while developing an unsettling obsession with a serial killer's trial. When the film ended, I was left speechless, deeply perplexed by her philosophy of life. I first watched it last April, yet even now, certain scenes remain vividly etched in my memory. I suppose that is the true magic of cinema. Okay, that concludes my top 10 films of 2025. And what would be on your list? Just feel free to leave a comment below. And thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.